Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? I hope that you're doing well. A bit of a different background today, but I was thinking about Romans 12:2, right? How it talks about not being conformed to the patterns of this world, but being transformed by the renewing of our minds. And I was thinking about that in terms of relationships, yeah? And the fact that some of us really need to renew our minds when it comes to relationships, because some of us have been so used to bad relationships. We've been so used to abusive relationships. We've been so used to relationships with emotionally unavailable people that when we actually find ourselves in a good relationship, in a relationship with somebody that is emotionally available, that is, there for us, that provides stability, we do not know how to act. We begin to wonder, we begin to freak out. Why is this person being so nice? What is the person's agenda? What do they want? Why are they like this? And the worst part is, some of us might even go as far as calling that person boring because the person is so available to us, right? And so I was just thinking about that, and the fact that society has made some people have this very skewed idea of what true relationships are supposed to look like, whereby some men get made fun of for being faithful to their women. You are called weak because you are a one-woman type of man. You are looked down on. You are looked down upon by your fellow men because you decided to be faithful to your woman. Some women even do not respect a man who gives them his full attention. They prefer a man that gives them, that challenge, a bit of that challenge, right? They prefer a man that is not as available to them. They prefer a man that, don't have to fight over. I've heard women say that if a man doesn't have other girlfriends, it means something is wrong with him. I've heard women say that if a man is not physically abusive, if the man does not physically abuse them, it means he does not love them. As terrible as that sounds, that is what some women believe. And it's unfortunate that we live in a world where normal is considered abnormal, and what is supposed to be abnormal has become the norm. And so when the Bible tells us that we need to renew our minds, that we should not be conformed to the patterns of this world, that is what it is talking about. Because the world wants us to believe that being emotionally available is a sign of weakness, that being honest in your relationship is a sign of weakness, that being there for the person is a sign of weakness. You have to play games in order to be respected. You have to play hard to get in order to make yourself respected. And when I say hard to get, I'm talking about people that are already in a relationship. So you're already in a relationship with this person, but you're still playing games with that person because, you don't want them to take you for granted, or that is just the way you are. You are just this person that will not allow for yourself to be available to another human being. So you've been used to being in that relationship where you're constantly wondering where the person is. You're constantly wondering if the person is going to call you back. Constantly wondering when the person is going to call you. You're constantly wondering. Your mind is not at peace in that relationship. And so that's what you've been used to. And so when you finally find yourself in that good and stable relationship, you become confused. You begin to try to find fault in that relationship. You begin to self-sabotage, so that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, oh yes, I said it, no, nobody is going to love me enough, or people always leave me, or XYZ always happens, because you've been so used to that pattern of people not treating you right, of people coming into your life and then leaving you. You've been so used to that when you finally find yourself in that good relationship, you end up self-sabotaging. And when the person leaves you, you say, oh yes, I said it. That's what always happens. So it is time for us to unlearn some of those habits. It's time for us to unlearn some of those things that society has taught us. And sometimes it comes from trauma, it comes from past experiences, it comes from several experiences that you might have had in your past, that might make you to start looking at relationships that way. And so it's important that maybe you write down those patterns that you've noticed in a relationship. You write down those things. Journaling would help. You write down the things that cause you to doubt your worth in a relationship, and bring them all to God. And tell God to remind you who you are in Him. And I've said this before, I've said it in the past in some of my videos. Go back to God and ask Him to remind you of who you are in Him, and pray about it. And the other thing as well is, sometimes you really might not know what a good relationship is supposed to look like, because you haven't been exposed to a good relationship or to good relationships. There are so many resources that you can find. There's the Bible, obviously, but there are also books on relationships. There are so many workshops, seminars. There are so many videos even on YouTube that you can find, where you can learn about what a good and healthy relationship is supposed to look like. Learn what a good relationship looks like, so that when you find yourself in one, you'll be able to recognize it. And if those voices start talking to you and telling you, you need to flee, or that something is wrong with this relationship, then having the knowledge that you now have, you'll be able to fight those voices and work towards maintaining that good and stable relationship that you find yourself in at this point. And there might be couples around you, if maybe in the church that you go to, there might be couples around you that have good relationships. You could approach them, get closer to them, so that you learn what it means to treat another person with kindness, what it means to treat another person with consideration. Ask questions. There's a lot that you can learn when you ask questions. Be intentional about learning what a good relationship is supposed to look like. And then with that information, you'll be able to start gradually unlearning the negative patterns, the patterns that you thought were what made a relationship, right? And so and the other thing is, just because you are in the church doesn't mean that you are immune from bad relationships, or that you are protected from bad relationships, because when the Bible tells us not to be conformed to the patterns of this world, there are people in the church that are very worldly. There are people in the church that still act like they are in the world. And so being in the church does not mean that you necessarily meet somebody that is going to act in the way that the Bible requires for us to act. So it's still very important to have discernment, even if the person is in the church. Still look at their characters, still look at their patterns, because you're able to how you know people really is through the patterns in their behaviors. You'll be able to see those patterns and recognize those patterns, and you wouldn't be able to know them unless you've tried to, make yourself knowledgeable about what all these things are, right? So look for resources, read books, watch videos, attend seminars, all of those things to equip yourself with the type of knowledge that will help you to recognize a good relationship from a bad relationship. And also sometimes, it comes from a place of insecurity, whereby because you've been so badly treated, you tend to become an insecure person, right? Your partner talks down on you, talks negatively to you about you, and so your self-esteem just keeps depreciating, it just keeps going down. So work on recovering that self-esteem, and add skills, learn new skills, or have hobbies that will make you happy, that will give you a sense of joy, a sense of accomplishment, or whatever the case, so that as you're doing those things and also working on your purpose, it becomes harder for any type of person to come into your life and treat you any type of way, because you have a better sense of who you are as a person. You have a better sense of who you are in Christ, and you just have a better self-esteem, basically. So yeah, guys, that's my message for today. I hope that it helped. Sorry about all the noise. There are cars and yeah, so I'm going to say goodbye here, and just pray that God will help you renew your mind, so that you would be able to oh, this lighting is so good. Thank God for natural lighting. So that you'll be able to recognize a good relationship when you find one, and you'll be able to appreciate it. You'll be able to give it the level of appreciation that is due it. Okay? All right, guys. Thank you for watching. The greenery is beautiful. That's how beautiful and healthy your relationship is supposed to be. Healthy, healthy, green, healthy, fresh, Okay, bye.